I need lights!
Marker!
Roll camera!
We have speed!
Action!
Right, Margot. On your way.
Help me, please! I have a child! So different from this hell I'm living! So different, no, from what is seen!
That's Hugh Jackman as Jean Valjean, the convict who served his time but breaks parole after finding God and religion and himself and tries to build a new life for himself. And Russell Crowe as the determined, obsessed police officer Javert, hunting him down over 30 years, chasing him in 19th century France in the movie, musical, big screen adaptation of the Broadway musical Les Miserables. Now, you know the story. There's been a book, there's been dozens of movies made about it. One of the best back in 1935 with Frederick March and Charles Laughton. And it's the story of Jean Valjean basically trying to reinvent himself, have a life outside of the barriers of what is the law and the rules back in 19th century France, which was incredibly hard at the time. Once you became a convict, even for stealing a loaf of bread so that his sister's child would survive and not die, he goes to prison for 30 years. Or not 30 years, I'm sorry, 20 years. After finally serving his time, he gets out, breaks parole, and is trying to serve God and himself, do what he can for his fellow man and woman. And of course, he blows it, lets his manager fire a factory worker that his factory he runs, Fantine, played by the lovely Anne Hathaway. And of course, once he discovers this, he feels terrible. She's sick. She's become a prostitute. You know the story. He takes her little daughter, Cosette, into his care, and the two of them eventually end up on the run, being chased by Javert. Of course, it chronicles 30 years. In the meantime, he's trying to raise the child, stay one step ahead of Javert, and of course, eventually getting mixed up in yet another France revolution. All the time, you're going to be hearing the music and the songs that have been making the Broadway musical such a smash and a hit for so many years.
Another day, another destiny. Hamza. It's never-ending road to Calvary.
Where's the child, Cosette?
One day more to revolution. We will nip it in the bud. We'll be ready for these schoolboys. They'll make themselves with blood.
To the barricades!
Les Miserables is a big screen, musical, dramatic adaptation of the Broadway musical. And it's not half bad. It's better than that. It's pretty good, but not great. First, let's focus on what we like about it and love about it. I gotta say, Anne Hathaway steals the movie, and she's only in it for a little time because she plays Fantine. So she's playing the tragic character who's the mom of Cosette, and we all know what happens to her. Her performance and her song. She's got one great song, and you know which song that is. Wow. It's a showstopper. She does a phenomenal job, and I guarantee you she's going to get nominated for Best Supporting Actress when Oscar comes around, and I think she might actually even win. You heard it here first. It's deserved, one of her best performances. She's had a great year. First as Selina Kyle in Catwoman in Dark Knight Rises, and now as Fantine in Les Miserables. Wow. Hats off to her. She's the best thing about this movie. Second best thing is newcomer Samantha Barks, who's played roles on Broadway, and it shows. She has a phenomenal voice, and she can act. She plays the tragic character Eponine, who of course is going to fall head over heels in love with the boy Marcus, who has only eyes for Cosette. Again, another show-stopping song, In the Rain, On My Own. Wow. She's the second best thing about this film. Those two ladies really steal the film from everybody else in it. Now, Hugh Jackman does a solid, nice job as Jean Valjean. His performance, playing the role, is solid. I'm still very partial to Frederick March back in 1935, but Hugh Jackman does a solid job as Jean Valjean. However, he's a dance man on Broadway, and it shows. When he tries to sing the song Bring 'Em Home, he does just an okay job. I don't mean to pick on him, but he's really a dance man and an actor, not a singer. It shows. But still, solid performance. I'm not going to take away from his performance as Jean Valjean. However, there are a few people in this who are horribly miscast, and the biggest one I got to take issue with is Russell Crowe. Look, a lot of people said when he got cast, "What, are you crazy?" I went out on a limb and said, look, Javert in the Broadway musical only sings one song. Everything else is talked. I mean, it's singing, but it's talking singing. You don't really need to be able to sing that well to be Javert. Except for that one song, where he vows under the stars to God that he's going to catch this man no matter what. That didn't work. That scene didn't work. And also, Russell Crowe does not really ooze venom as Javert. Javert hates Jean Valjean because he represents a chink in the chain, a break in the chain, if you will, that the law hasn't caught him. And it eats at Javert, especially since he knew him back in the jail when he was just a jailer. And now he's out and he's being promoted, and he keeps crossing paths with this man who seems to be thumbing it at the law, trying to reinvent himself and escaping all the time. He can't stand it. And it's got to show. Charles Laughton did a wonderful job in the original showing that. I'm sorry to say Russell Crowe does not, and I was surprised. So Russell Crowe is horribly miscast in this. He's probably the weakest thing about this film, and he's a really good actor. I like him a lot. I loved him in L.A. Confidential and State of Play. But here, no. They should have recast it. Amanda Seyfried, I'm sorry. She did a great job in Mamma Mia, but here, every time she tries to sing, she squeals. Fortunately, we don't see too much of Cosette, so that's a savior. But all in all, if you're a fan of the Broadway musical, if you're a fan of the story, I think you're going to enjoy this version. It is long. It's about 2 hours and 35 minutes, and you do feel it. The look of the film is pretty good. The costumes, they do really good job on. Creating 19th century France, they do a good job on. But the pacing at times is a little herky-jerky, a little tedious at times. Some scenes just take forever to get going or forever to end. Oh, and the new song that was written specifically for the movie that Hugh Jackman sings, I gotta say I wasn't impressed. Again, not impressed. I could have lived without it. But still, if you're a fan of the Broadway musical, I think you'll enjoy it. You're just not going to enjoy it as much as the Broadway show. I'm going to give it 2 out of 4 popcorns. Like I said, good, but not great. With Kevin at the Movies, I'm Kevin Finnerty, online and on the air every Sunday afternoon at 1 on News Radio 600 GoGo.